So today I want to talk a little bit about something that I use a lot in my photography. It's called HDR, and this will probably be most applicable to you if you have a little bit of an understanding of how your camera works. And I'm talking about like shutter speed and aperture. And I want to show you what I like to use HDR for. There are a lot of awesome uses for HDR, and I actually like a lot of them, but something that I learned at a photography workshop that I went to last September of 2011 in Telluride with a landscape photographer called Tom Till, and where a light sort of went on for me about what practical use aside from effect that HDR can have. So HDR stands for high dynamic range, and you can't get it from taking just one shot. Well, you can, but I'm going to avoid that issue right now. You can't get it from taking just one shot with your camera. What you have to do is you have to take at least 3 shots, preferably 5 if you have a good enough camera that brackets like that. And you take 1 shot at the shutter speed that you would normally sort of want or think that your camera would take. And using the same aperture, same focus, you take one at a much faster shutter speed, which makes it a much darker shot and probably exposes for lighter areas of the image. I'm going to show you this in here in just a second. And then you take another shot further down. And most high-end cameras have a little function called bracketing. On my D7000, that's here. So that's a bracket. And you can see how many exposures you want, like 2 steps up or 2 steps down. It says 3 exposures with 2 steps up and 2 steps down from the original way that you would sort of think that you would take the shot. And I'm going to show you what that does, and then I'm going to show you what you can sort of do because you can do that in digital photography. Obviously this is best if you use a tripod because you want to make sure things aren't moving in your in your shots, but I know some pretty good people who can take really awesome HDR photography handheld. I've watched Ron Pepper do it, for example, and I can't believe how little shake he gets. You also want to make sure that you you don't just do 1 shot. Like you try to do it like continue. It helps if I take off my thing. You want to try and take and continue shooting so that all the shots come really quickly together, and see, like that, so that there's as little opportunity for movement and stuff as possible. So why don't we go over to my computer and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I don't even know if this made any sense at all until I show you what I'm talking about. But hopefully it can make you understand that HDR doesn't have to be what a lot of people call an overcooked image. There's a lot of controversy about whether HDR is cheating. Because you're using more than one image and putting them together. But yeah, I want you to think about when you see, and I'll talk about that with the rock that I'm going to show you, when you see something, your eye moves quickly from one area of your view to another and quickly adjusts the brightness so that you can see everything all at once. A lot of people see only versions of HDR that are what I call has a tendency to become an overcooked image, although I can like those a lot too, and don't realize that a lot of the photography that they see is actually HDR. They just don't realize it because it's not overcooked. It just looks like what you think your eye would see. So we'll head over to my computer and I will show you what I mean with my own images. Okay. Okay, so this first image that we're looking at is kind of what I think most people think of when they think of HDR. This is sort of, it's a little bit surreal. Some people would call it overcooked. But I kind of like this effect. You can see the greens are a little greener. It has a little bit of a surreal effect, and that's sort of what a lot of people think of when they think HDR, is this kind of an effect in the photograph. So I want to show you this one, which is taken at Cathedral Cove at dawn. It is HDR. A lot of people wouldn't suspect that it was HDR right at the beginning. Now, most people, when they take this shot, if you take a single exposure, would have it exposed like this, or possibly like this. In this first one, you can't see any of the details of the rock. It's basically in shadow. The sky color is a really beautiful color, although in this one there's even more yellow tones in the sky and even more blue to work with in the sky, but obviously you can't see the rock at all. And in this one there's a beautiful sky color, a little bit less of the yellowish color, and definitely no green from the trees up here at the top, and yeah, you can't see anything. In this one, however, you can see the rock. The sky has lost just about all of its color because you're exposing to see the rock, so that you let in enough light to see the rock. You let in too much light to have a really pretty sky. So what you do is what I did here was took the 3 images, and I use a program called Photomatics, which is an HDR option. And I combine them, and you get this, and you get the beautiful blue sky that I remember seeing, the greens in the rock, and the color of the rock. You can see the details of the rock. You get a little bit more depth of color in the ocean, and you get the sunrise colors here from the dawn. So to me, the HDR actually shows what I saw that morning, because my eye has time to adjust to the exposure of the sky, the rock, everything as it's moving around the view, but your camera doesn't. It takes a moment in time and it exposes for, either the sky or the rock or whatever. So for me, this is a fantastic use of HDR, and I think it allows us to create images that show what our eyes saw. They don't just do images like this where you have a surreal aspect, and I mean I love this too, but it's not the same sort of effect. You could tell something was done to this picture. I wanted to show you another one, although I don't have the original photos. I could actually. So this is the another shot of the same rock from a different angle. Obviously, from this angle especially, if you were to expose this picture for that sky and that sun, you would get this, just a black rock. So I've combined the images that exposed for the rock, so I get the detail of the rock as well as exposed for the sky, and you get the detail of the rock and the sky, and it's a much more interesting picture, I think. So that's sort of my take on HDR. I don't find anything wrong with overcooked images. I don't think they're necessarily overcooked. They're a different style. I just wanted to get out there that HDR can be used for something really, really very, what am I trying to, practical, like to show what your eye sees, and doesn't necessarily need to cause as much controversy as this does. So I'm going to put a link to some images below in my Flickr stream and on Google Plus, where you can find them, and you can see sort of, you can take a closer look at those 3 images of the rock that I talked about before, and you can see what I did with them. Okay, hope that was mildly interesting for some of you, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for subscribing. Bye-bye.